just want to preface this video by saying that I only own 3 of these books physically. For the rest of the books, I'm just going to be tapping on my Kindle, so I hope that's okay with you. Also, the lighting's a bit weird, but I'm just working with what I've got, so yeah. So if you are new here, my name's Adriana, and I make mainly book videos. In fact, all of my videos so far have been book videos, but maybe I'll make others along the way, I don't know. But yeah. I'd really, really, really love it if you could consider subscribing and sticking around. That'd be really, really cool to see you back here, and also just help support my channel. So yeah, that'd be really awesome. And yeah, I also really love reading your comments, so definitely comment down below what your favourite book of 2023 was. Let's get into it. So, I'm going to be showing the covers of the books I don't have on my iPad. There's 12 books total. I'm not going to have them in any order apart from I will show my book of the year, favourite, top tier book of the year, 6-star book of the year last. So just keep that in mind. So I've basically just chosen my favourite book of each month to, round up the year. So the first book that I have is gosh, this is gonna be challenging. Okay, hang on. Okay, Wayward by Amelia Hart. This cover is stunning. So this book, I'm gonna do my best to tell you the synopses of these books. I read this book in January, and I was lucky enough to get sent an ARC for it. As you can see, I've decorated my Kindle, although the stickers keep falling, so just ignore that, just pretend that's not happening. So this is a historical, witchy novel following 3 different women over 3 different time periods. So we have one woman who is basically in the process of being tried for witchcraft in the 1600s. And then we're also following another woman in the 1940s who she lives in this big house, and as was expected of women in general, but especially wealthy women. Sorry about the frog in my throat. Back in that time, she was expected to just get married and have kids, and that's not what she wanted. She was really interested in books and that sort of thing. She wanted to be an etymologist, is that what? I'm sorry, I don't know what the name is for people who study books. But she's kind of basically the black sheep of her family as a result. And then we follow a woman in present day who is basically fleeing to this cottage that has been passed down in her family from an abusive relationship. And basically we're just following these women and how the stories connect, and basically how they've all got witchcraft running through their veins. And it's just a really beautiful story, really well written, fantastic for a debut. Very nature driven, and yeah, I'm a sucker for a multiple POV, a multiple timeline. I historical part, if that makes sense, then I think you'll like this. It's a really special story. Okay, next we have a horror book, and now this book, okay, is quite divisive. I know people either loved it or hated it, and I can completely understand both sides, honestly, but I just absolutely love this book. It is How to Sell a Haunted House by Grady Hendrix. I absolutely love Grady Hendrix. I haven't not enjoyed a single book by him. Granted, I've only read 2, but you know what I mean. So this is a horror book, like I mentioned, that involves puppets. And I know for a lot of people the puppet part was like the kind of killer for them. But I found the puppet aspect to be kind of creepy, but also kind of funny. So this is, anyway, let me tell you the synopsis. So this is a horror book following 2 siblings whose parents have both died. Their mothers just died in an accident, I believe. Oh no, their parents both died at the same time. Sorry, their parents both died in an accident. And basically, they've been left to clear out their house and basically sell off what they want to and claim the assets, basically. And from the get-go, something is weird in the house, like the TV keeps turning on, things are moving around, and not where they're supposed to be, and her mum was like a huge hoarder, basically, and loved puppets. She made her own puppets, and there was this puppet in particular that the kids hated, but she was really, really attached to him, and his name's Pupkin. And basically this whole book is just the siblings versus Pupkin. Now I will admit, with this book it did kind of go on a little bit longer than I think it should have, and I think it could have wound down, but I loved it. I couldn't put it down. And yeah, it was just weirdly creepy and but also funny, and just classic Grady Hendrix in my opinion. So just realised this is upside down. Yeah, I mean, would I recommend this to all horror fans? Absolutely not, but if you like Grady Hendrix, definitely, I think you should read this one. And if you're scared by puppets, you should read this one. Unless you don't want to be scared, then don't read this. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. And I'm excited to read more Grady Hendrix. I've got Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires and all of that. I've got all of his books, so I need to read them. Talking of horror books, my next book on the list is another horror book. I loved this book. This is A House with Good Bones by D. Kingfisher. Now, I have previously only read, before I read this book anyway, I'd only read one book by D. Kingfisher, and that was The Hollow Places, and I gave that one 4 stars. I thought it was really unique and interesting. I loved this one even more. Again, very nature-based. This is about a woman who's down on her luck, and she's kind of been on furlough from her job as mum's like weirdly like nice about her grandmother and like won't accept anything bad being said about the grandmother. She's like really shifty and she's like lost a load of weight and there's just something not right. So our main character like starts, you know, to ask the neighbours like what's up with this and stuff, and there's just like an uneasy feeling in the house and there's just something not right. It's not a very long book, I believe it's like just under 300 pages. That's my frog again, I'm so sorry. And yeah, it was just a really, really interesting and unique book in my opinion. So yeah, I really recommend it. If you're a horror fan, especially like nature, fantastical horror, you'll be into this one. I'm really sorry if I'm not summing up these books super well. It's been a while since I read them. And then April, my favourite book was The Only Survivors by Megan Miranda. And this was another one that like people either loved or hated. Actually, I don't recall anybody loving it. I think everybody hated it, but I loved it. And I think I loved it because of the way it depicted trauma, and I just have this really weird like phobia and fear of like car accidents. Obviously nobody like loves them, but you know what I mean, like I'm really scared of like I don't know how to explain it. But yeah, I'm just like, for example, scrapyards terrify me. I just don't like it. I don't like seeing the cars all like mangled up. It weirds me out. Let's not get into that. But this is about a group of people who, when they were teenagers, they were on a school trip and 2 van loads of them were involved in an accident. They went off this cliff, I suppose, and into this river, and only 9 of them survived. And every year, and basically a year after the accident, one of them ended up ending their life, and since then the remaining survivors have made a pact to meet up on the day of the accident every year to like check on each other and, you know, just be there for each other. Well, our main character is not planning on going this year. She just wants to put it behind her and it seems like she doesn't really like the people that she meets every year. But then another one of them dies, and so she goes because she wants to find out what's up, you know, what's happening. And this was just, you get like alternate kind of flashbacks to the accident, and the really like harrowing, it's very like harrowing decisions that they had to make during that, and just also the aftermath, the trauma they've dealt with. And there's also the aspect of like you can't trust any of them, not even the main character. You don't know who's telling the truth, and just something's amiss. And then when they all get to the cabin or beach house that they rent every year, another one of them goes missing, and there's that mystery as well. And yeah, there's just a lot going on. The plot twist at the end I did not see coming at all, I'm going to be honest. As a seasoned thriller reader, I generally guess the plot twist, I'm going to be honest, and I did not with this one. So yeah, Megan Miranda in general, I really like her books. Sorry about that. I will read the blurb for you. Athena Lou is a literary darling and June Hayward is literally nobody. When Athena dies in a freak accident, June steals her unpublished manuscript and publishes it as her own under the ambiguous name Juniper Song. But as evidence threatens June's stolen success, she discovers exactly how far she will go to keep what she thinks she deserves. What happens next is entirely everyone else's fault. This book was... It was kind of like... I tell you what, my frog is just like... He's just gone mad tonight. I'm really sorry about that. Like every now and again you're just gonna hear my throat just like growling. Really sorry. Like I said in my last video, I'm having to film my videos all like without cuts because my program that I use is just not processing my videos properly, so it's like cutting them off at the end and stuff, so I'm having to just, work with it for now, so sorry about that. But yeah, this book was darkly funny is probably the best way to put it. Just whenever this character has like dug herself into, you think she's like done, you're like, okay, right, come on Junie, babe, like give it a rest now, like let's just calm it down a bit. Our June just continues, she just gets her shovel out and carries on digging. It's just, the audacity of this woman. Like, you both hate her and just weirdly admire her tenacity and determination. She's a horrible person, a horrible, horrible person. I just love Rebecca Kwong. I love The Poppy War. I haven't read Fable yet, but I will be reading it, and I need to finish the Poppy War series, but I will read anything this woman writes. I haven't done any tracing in this video, I'm sorry. But I love how she can just write basically whatever genre she wants and do it flawlessly. How? I don't know, but yeah, this was definitely a fascinating, but also like, I would compare it to a car accident. Like you don't want to look, but like you also can't look away. Do you know what I mean? Like you just have so much second-hand anxiety for this character, but also like she's done this entirely to herself. So yeah, just a very interesting look at race and the publishing industry, and yeah, and also like cancel culture as well, and just kind of like social media, and yeah, that sort of thing. Definitely recommend if you haven't read it yet. My next book I also own physically, and I absolutely adore this author like so much. I love this author so much. This is Such Sharp Teeth by Rachel Harrison. Oh, I love this cover so much. So this is called Such Sharp Teeth. device she thought she'd put in her rear view. After a night out at a bar where she runs into Ian, an old almost flame, as she hits a large animal with her car, and when she gets out to investigate, she's attacked. Rory survives miraculously, but life begins to look and feel different. She's unnaturally strong, with an aversion to silver, and suddenly the moon has her in its thrall. She's changing into someone else, something else, but does that mean she's putting those close to her in danger, or is embracing the wildness inside her the key to acceptance? This darkly comedic love story is a brilliantly layered portrait of trauma, rage, and vulnerability. Just this book is just the way it handles trauma, the way it depicts trauma, and how trauma changes you. It's just so clever and interesting. And I feel like that's one of Rachel Harrison's strengths. She just depicts trauma so well and takes on hard subjects but writes them just really, I don't know how to, she writes them. The word that comes to mind is like she's not a rubbernecker. She doesn't like write trauma and it's not gratuitous. I don't know if that made any sense, but you know what I mean. Such sharp teeth. I love this cover so much. I love her other book called Cackle, and Black Sheep is on my January TBR. So this was another absolute favourite. Okay, back to here. So my July favourite book, my favourite book of July was The Only One Left by Riley Sager. What can I say about Riley Sager? He's just a genius. I love him. I know for some people he's a bit too much. Once he starts Riley Sager in with his little twists, he gets a bit carried away, and he's like, oh, and what if this happened, But I love him. I love that I can never guess what's going to happen in his books. And his writing is just so atmospheric, and I just love it. I can't wait for his new release in 2024, which is in the middle of the night. It comes out in July. Very excited about that. I've only not read one of his backlist, and that is Final Girls, but I've given all of his books apart from one, and you all know which one. We all know which one it was that he didn't write, okay? We're just going to pretend he never wrote that, because he just obviously wasn't himself when he wrote that, Apart from that book, I've given all of his books 4 stars and above. Actually, 5 stars, yeah. So, this one is about a caregiver called Kit. I remember her name, and basically she's kind of recovering from something bad that happened at work. never spoken about the murder publicly before. And that's when she offers to tell Kit the truth, like everything, through this typewriter. And so Lenora starts typing her story out like bit by bit, and it all kind of comes together. Meanwhile, another, like, Kit is filling in because the previous caregiver, Frog again, the previous caregiver went missing, or they said she ran away in the night, you know what I mean? Bit suspect in my opinion, but yeah. When you need that dollar, you know, you just gotta go look after a serial killer, you know. Not much choice. So yeah, that's what that's about, and honestly it's just twist upon twist upon twist, and you just don't know who to trust. Like, even the main character, you can't trust her because you're not told why, like what happened at her job really. You know, it slowly unfolds, so it's just like, you can't trust anyone, unreliable narrator, and you're getting this like dual timeline of Lenora telling her story, and it's just fascinating, and I just couldn't put it down. So, if you love thriller books with a bit of supernatural / horror aspects, you know, a bit of a bump in the night, you know, type of thriller, you'll love this one, and all of Riley Sager's thrillers in general. They've all got like horror aspects, you know, or supernatural aspects. He took it a bit far in that one that he didn't write, you know what I mean? He took it a bit too far there, but otherwise he knows what he's doing. What was my next book? Oh, I remember. Now it is, gosh, terrified I'm going to drop this. The 7 Year Slip by Ashley Boston. Oh, now this is going to sound weird, like, because this is a romance book, okay? It was meant to be a romance book. I could not stand the love interest. I did not want them to get together at all. Was not here for the romance, I'm going to be honest. But it was still a 5-star for me because of the main character's story in terms of her grief and getting over her grief. Not getting over, I don't like that phrase. Overcoming her grief, or learning to live with it, and rediscovering the things that she'd lost through her grief. So this is about a woman who's just lost her aunt, and her aunt left her apartment, and this apartment is no normal apartment. She didn't entirely believe it, but when her aunt told her, but this apartment has the ability to go 7 years into the past. So while she walks in one day, and the guy who lived there 7 years ago, or who rented the flat from her aunt 7 years ago, is there just like chilling, and the flat's like as it was then, and over time you can't control when it's going to go back. You don't know when it's going to go 7 years back. And so she basically develops a romance with this guy, and also just kind of rediscovering herself and like what she really wanted in life. She works in publishing, and she's just not sure, you know, if it's right for her. And I loved that part. I just didn't like the romance part, which may be an unpopular opinion, but I'm really excited to read The Dead Romantics. That is on my list for 2024. Whether I'll get to it is another thing, because my TBR's out of control. Okay, so yeah, I do recommend that if you like. You might enjoy the romance, I don't know, but I just, yeah, wasn't for me. Like, in terms of the actual romance and the love interest, I thought he was a bit of a dick, to be honest. And then we have Black River this was my first Jack Wendig book, and it's basically about apples. It's basically about apples. It's basically about these apples that basically, like, when you eat them, you become addicted to them, and they can, like, they literally cure you of anything. So, for example, the people in the town become addicted to them, and the people who used to have to wear glasses don't have to wear glasses anymore. People are cured of cancer, things like that. But what seems like a good thing, like, there are some people who just don't either like apples or just aren't affected by the apples. What starts out as a good thing turns kind of into like this cult of apple worship. I know that sounds ridiculous and not good at all, okay? I appreciate that, but it was so good. It was so good. It was so many pages, but I enjoyed every minute. And there are some really creepy scenes in this. There's a lot of body horror, so if you're not into that, do not read this. But I never thought I would enjoy a book about apples. An apple cult. It reminds me because, like, at Costco in the UK anyway, I don't know about the US, they do these apples, and they are the best apples I've ever tasted in my life, and like I think about them all the time, but we don't go to Costco very often because it's like a while away. And I just love the apples. I just love them, and it just reminded me of that. But yeah, definitely like a slow burn. It's not like the action definitely doesn't pick up until like the second half. But it's like it reminded me of like Stephen King's writing, or like Salem's Lot, in the fact that like there's a slow build up of dread and you're like, this isn't right, but like everything appears right on the surface, but you know something isn't, and like it was just very atmospheric, and yeah, a really good horror book. Next, this is we're gonna skip over October for now because October is like my 6-star, like top tier book of the year. But my November favourite was Hello Beautiful by Anne Napolitano. Oh gosh, guys, I'm so glad that this book is getting more traction now. This is a literary fiction / historical book following a American-Italian immigrant family, and it kind of, it's difficult to explain the plot, but the book opens with this guy called William, and we kind of learn about William's childhood and how he basically lives in like a loveless household. His sister passed away and it left a massive hole in his family, and his family just kind of ignore him, like his mum and dad. So he gets like interested in basketball and ends up going to college, where he meets Julia, and him and Julia get together, but Julia is very, very close to her three sisters, Sylvie, Emmeline, and Sylvie, Emmeline, Cecilia, and they are American-Italian. Their parents are Italian, they're American. And as like my family is Italian English, we don't really use that term here. I was really interested in it because I know literally like nothing, barely anything about the Italian side of my family. They're like, it's just all very hush hush. So I just loved that part of it, and it's just kind of like their story and about how, you know, visions for their marriage and their life, and William suffers from depression, and it kind of follows like how that shapes their relationship and how it shapes the family, and it follows them over years and years, multiple decades of this family and their life basically. It almost doesn't have a plot, but that doesn't do it justice. Like, this is just a really beautiful, poignant novel that portrays mental health in a really realistic and respectful way. And it made me cry. Oh my god, it made me cry so much. So good. So good. Highly recommend, even if you're not into historical books. I would definitely recommend this anyway. The characters, like, they feel so like tangible and real. If you love a character-driven book, you will love this. It's kind of like a little life in terms of like the writing and the style of the story, but not as traumatizing at all. It's definitely not like a little life in terms of content, but if you know what I mean, like, there's not like a plot as such, there's not like a start goal kind of thing, but it just illustrates life and, you know, what makes us human beings, what makes life worth living, and what makes life have a purpose. I don't know how to explain it, I'm not very eloquent, but I 100% recommend it, definitely, if you know, especially if you like a good, like, generational saga. And then my latest favourite, so my favourite from December was Notes on an Execution. Notes on an Execution by Daniel Kafka. And this book broke me. Oh my gosh, this book broke me. I'm sorry, but it takes a certain author to make you feel sorry for a serial killer. And feel sorry for a serial killer, but also feel anger. And this basically follows a guy called Ansel, and he is on death row for the murder of 3 girls. And we basically get told his story, how, I don't want to say how he became a serial killer, but you know what I mean, like how he was shaped and what led to him killing the girls, and also just how he affected the people around him. And it's told through the women in his life, so it starts with his mother, and then the twin sister of who he ends up marrying, and then also the detective who ultimately ends up putting him behind bars. And oh my goodness, there's just so many amazing, just the way this book is written. There's my frog again. The way this book is written is just incredible. Just so many, I highlighted so much. Hang on, I'm gonna get another frog. So amazing, the writing in this, and just, it's a very good commentary on the like death row and you know, the death penalty, because like throughout this book you are just thinking to yourself, what a waste, like he's killed these women who have now, like through no fault of their own, their lives have just been ended by a mediocre white man. And then obviously he's on death row, so he's gonna die. What does that solve? I mean, even the family of the victims is like, we'd rather he just basically live in prison and be forgotten, because as soon as you put his name's plastered in the newspaper because he's on death row, and whereas they'd rather he just gets forgotten and just dies in prison, you know. It's just a really interesting commentary, and just the prison system in general, and how, you know, there's a very large volume of minorities in prison, and how the prison system exploits minorities, and there's just so much commentary. Like, there's, you know, commentary on, you know, how your trauma shapes you, how, you know, decisions, choices can be good, but also can paralyze you in, you know, I'm just rambling. I'm not doing this book justice, but it's incredible. It's the front of the copy that I read on my Kindle said searing, and that is the perfect word to describe this book. It is searing. It will tear you apart. It's really, yeah, it's not for everybody. It's, you know, it's not action packed. It's not about being gory and gruesome and like a thriller as such. It's more of a commentary on death row, trauma, and how one choice can affect the rest of your life, and how not just your life, your choices don't just affect you, but it can affect everybody around you, you know, and like a domino effect. Yeah. I don't know what else to say about this book because I'm not doing it justice, and I'm not gonna like continue to like harp on about it because I feel like I'm not selling it, but yeah. Now, are you ready for my like top tier, god tier book of the year? This book, guys. Bonesmith by Nikki Paul-Preto. I say Paul because it's spelled like Paul, like stick in Portuguese. So, this book, guys, I loved it so much. This was pitched as Game of Thrones crossed with Gideon the Ninth. I haven't read Gideon the Ninth, but I did enjoy Game of Thrones. And oh my god, it takes the best elements. It really does. So, I actually have these Fairy Loot edition here, which my husband got me from Vinted for Christmas. So it has these amazing sprayed edges. Oh, look at that. It has character art on the inside. So that's our main character, Ren. And then Julian. Oh, Julian. And it's signed by the author. Oh, this is my baby. This is my Roman Empire right here, okay? It says on the back, ready your blade, defeat the undead. Let me read you the synopsis before I, you know, just completely go off on a rager about this book. In the Dominions, the dead linger, violent and unpredictable, unless a bonesmith severs the ghost from its earthly remains. For bonesmith Ren, becoming a Valkyr, I think that's how you pronounce it, a ghost-fighting warrior, is a chance to solidify her place in the noble house of bone and impress her frequently absent father. But when sabotage causes Ren to fail her qualifying trial, she is banished to the border wall, the last line of defence against a wasteland called the Breach, where the vicious dead roam unchecked. Determined to reclaim her family's respect, Ren gets her chance when a House of Gold prince is kidnapped and taken beyond the wall. To prove she has what it takes to be a Valkyr, Ren vows to cross the breach and rescue the prince, but to do so she's forced into an uneasy alliance with one of the kidnappers, a fierce ironsmith called Julian from the exiled House of Iron, the very people who caused the breach in the first place, and the House of Bones' sworn enemy. As they travel, Ren and Julian spend as much time fighting each other as they do the undead, but when they discover there's more behind the kidnapping than either of them knew, they'll need to work together to combat the real danger, a dark alliance they spring between the living and the undead. Gideon the Ninth meets the Game of Thrones White Walkers in this dark young adult fantasy about a disgraced ghost fighting warrior who must journey into a haunted wasteland to rescue a kidnapped prince. Doesn't that just tickle your pickle? I loved this book so freaking much. The twists, man, the twists and the ending. Oh my god, I cannot wait for the sequel, Ghost Smith, which comes out next year. Nikki, you need to give me an arc, okay? You need to give me an arc. Oh, just look at that spine as well. I'm just obsessed with this book. I love Ren. I love Julian. I'm gonna be honest, it takes a lot for me to get like really attached to characters because I'm autistic, and for me, I'm like, these people aren't real, so like it takes a lot for like me to really feel connected to the characters, and I felt connected to Ren because she has daddy issues, you know, just like me. And the world building, the magic system, the enemies to lovers, the undead walking around, you know. White Walkers are like the creepiest part of Game of Thrones for me, and they would, it was creepy, it was intense, there's just so much action, and I just loved it. I loved it, and I can't wait for the second book. I'm just obsessed. I am obsessed with this book, and I will hoist it onto anybody who even gives me a chance to open my mouth, okay? If you didn't like this book, I don't like, you're fine to dislike this book, please don't tell me, okay? Because I will cry, and nobody wants that, okay? I'm an ugly crier. I'm just obsessed. I'm obsessed with this book. So yeah, Bonesmith, read it, okay? And let me know if you read this book, what you thought. And yeah, this isn't getting as much hype as I think it deserves, so definitely check it out if you enjoy fantasy, enemies to lovers, really good world building, and magic system, and just lots of like intense antics. So that, ladies and gentlemen, and my non-binary friends, is my favourite books of 2023. I hope the frog in my throat was not too distracting. I don't know why, but when I whisper, the frog in my throat is just like, yeah, let's come out for a 90s rave, you know? So like I said, if you enjoy book videos, and if you've made it to the end of this video, thank you so much for sticking by and for, you know, putting up with my interesting personality. I say interesting in a sarcastic way. So anyway, I hope you like the new mic. Like I said, I'm still working with it, so I hope the audio is fine. Please give me any feedback or constructive criticism. And yeah, also if you have any requests, please let me know, although nothing weird, please. And also, I will not do eating videos because nobody wants to see that. Like, I always put way too much in my mouth, and I eat like I've never seen food / will never see food again, so So, thank you so much for continuing to support me, and I'm really am hoping to post more. And yeah, I hope you guys had an amazing holiday season,